Hello, Home Slices. It's Kiera with Home Slice Adulting coming to you with my review for a show that's probably halfway through the season by now. It is President's Day today, and because I work at a school and it's a national holiday, I do not have work today. I spent some time last night catching up on a new series that I had never watched before, but I saw some people were reviewing it, and when people review things, it usually means that they like them. So I looked into this show. It is called Love and Marriage Huntsville. And it's on the OWN network, and it turned out to be quite entertaining. I binged it on demand, and I watched 6 episodes straight, and I thought it was pretty awesome. So I think I may start reviewing it. So to catch up on the past 6 episodes that I missed, I'm gonna do like a quick rundown of what my impressions are of each couple, of each person, and this will be my introduction into like doing reviews for the rest of the episodes for the remainder of the season. So let's start with my thoughts on all of the couples. But before that, thank you guys for clicking on the video, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. But the first couple, Kimmy and Maurice, I'm going to start with them because I actually like them the most, individually and together. I think they're my 2 favorite people on the show. So I like them a lot, even though I typically am not here for relationships that have a large age difference. I think that once you get past a certain age, the age difference does not matter as much. And because Maurice looks like he's maybe at least like 35-ish, maybe, a 12-year age difference at that stage in his life is not a big deal, because you have someone in their mid 30s and someone in their mid 40s, and it's not a huge difference. So I don't mind the age difference, but I think they seem to have a really fun relationship, and that they're super comfortable and mature enough to work through any issues that they may have. And so it was interesting to see them in a couples counseling session, because I feel like Kimmy had a type of attitude that I tend to have sometimes when it comes to my relationship, because for me, I'm not a fan of the traditional marriage roles, type of situation. And I felt that she was beginning to feel neglected, or feel some pressure surrounded by Maurice's son, Monster, moving in with them, because she has already had her child. He is in college. He is out of the house. She is in her 40s. She is in her like how Stella got her groove back mood, and having another young child move into their house at that stage when Maurice is in school means that she's going to have to be, single mommy with a husband all over again. She's not going to get to enjoy her life because she has to pick up the pieces that Maurice is leaving behind while he's in school. And so to see her get emotional about that, that's something that I struggle with, because my boyfriend grew up in a kind of traditional household, not where he had a stay-at-home mom, but the roles were very traditional. The men did the manly chores, yard work, taking out the trash, and, the woman did the womanly chores, which I could never get with that. Even as a child, I used to have discussions with my parents and grandparents about the boys in the family getting light chores on purpose. Like, oh, he takes out the trash. Well, you only have to take out the trash like a couple of times a week. We eat on dishes every day. Why should I have to do dishes every day when he only gets to do, one chore twice a week? You see, so I have never been okay with traditional roles or anything like that. And so I have always had an issue with feeling like some of the things that would be considered womanly chores always falling to me when I am in school and working full time. I'm going to school part time, but I still have those two things in my life that take up a bit of my time. And when I don't have those two things going on, I would like to chill out and relax and, not feeling like those chores are 50-50 has always been an issue for me. So I kind of get that. And that is more so an issue in Marcel and Tisha's relationship, but we'll move on to that a little bit later. So the good thing about the counseling session is that we saw Maurice is actually very sensitive to Kimmy's needs and to what Kimmy feels. And it's so weird, considering how Maurice and Marcel are brothers. Like, they apparently grew up in the same house, and to see that Marceau's attitude has not really rubbed off on Maurice is kind of interesting. Yeah, it's kind of interesting that they don't have the same attitude towards marriage and love and roles and that type of thing. So I like Maurice as an individual because he seems to kind of have the most sense out of everybody, and nothing about him is polarizing, I'll say. He seems to be the most balanced of the men. And so Kimmy is kind of on the fence for me. I like that Kimmy is a little bit more mature, but I feel like Kimmy is like harsh when it comes to Melody in particular. And that's the one thing that's stopping me from liking her totally, because there are aspects of her that I do like. Things that I do like about her, but I feel like she's like unnecessarily harsh and shady towards Melody. So that's kind of, making me pull back from her a little bit. But moving on, that's it for Kimmy and Maurice. We got the easy couple out of the way very quickly. I'm happy that they got married. I felt like they had a pretty good wedding ceremony, and I am going to, say this. There's another YouTuber that I watch. Her channel is called, is it Chatting with JoJo? I think it's called. I really like her. She does good reviews. She's pretty funny. She's from my hometown, or she lives in my hometown, which is Houston. And one of the things that she had mentioned about Kimmy and Maurice's wedding is that she didn't like that they didn't have a no cell phone policy. And let me tell you something, I am totally on board with what JoJo said, because just for me, being a spectator from the view of my television screen, it pissed me off to see all of those cell phones. Not only cell phones, but the people who have the cell phone cases that, open up like a book. And instead of having like just recording with a cell phone, you're recording with a book. And those people that record with their like iPads and stuff. And it's like, if you don't get this big TV out the way so I can see, like, why would you have like? And people had like the flashlight on their phones on as well, and that just annoyed the crap out of me, because their wedding is already being filmed for the show. So why do you need to have your own record of this stuff? And in addition to that, you're probably posting it on Facebook or whatever. Like, why can't you just have the memories of, how beautiful the ceremony was, how fun it was, and, view their pictures on Facebook? Like, whenever I get married and have my wedding, no cell phones, okay? And I'm considering hiring security for my wedding, okay? A bouncer who will look out for wedding crashers, who will enforce the no cell phone policy, and who will turn people away at the door when they don't bring a gift, okay? So if they're dressed inappropriately, they'll know what to look for. I'm considering hiring a bouncer, okay, at my wedding, but whenever it comes. But anyways, let's move on to Marceau, and I feel like I'm not saying his name correctly, but Marceau and Tisha. I don't really care for either of them. I feel like Tisha comes off to me as a person who is messy and immature, and she uses those aspects of her personality to cover up the fact that she's not happy in her home life. And she's not a strong reader. Apparently she was reading something at Kimmy and Maurice's wedding, and I was like, Anyways, moving on. Marcel is chauvinistic. He's a butthole, and he's just likable enough to get away with it. He knows where to stop the chauvinist train and cut it with comedy. That's the redeeming quality in him. But I'm not really falling for it. Anyways, for the record, I don't have anything against stay-at-home moms or with any particular arrangements that, husbands and wives have. The problem I do have with Marceau and Tisha is that Tisha is not happy with the arrangement, and that Marceau is treating their relationship so much like a contract that he does not care about his wife's happiness. People change. Things change. Even in business, if you have a business arrangement for somebody for a certain amount of years, and after a few years, before the contract is up, things that you originally outlined in the contract aren't working, you have the right to revise that contract with both parties coming together to say, okay, this isn't working anymore. What we asked for 3 years ago is not what we need now, and we need to come together to revise this contract. And he's not being very flexible with his wife, understanding that 3 years of raising 3 children, cooking for them. And it's not even that she's just raising the children. She is like solely responsible for the children. And to me, it does not feel like an even exchange. Yes, he is, providing for the household. They have food, they have clothing, they have shelter, but she is bearing the weight of everything else. He goes to work. She takes care of the kids. She takes care of the house if they need to go to practices and stuff. He doesn't even like to watch his kids. When I saw that he could not watch it, where he felt like she was imposing for him to have to watch his kid for 2 hours, he could have killed his son because he didn't know his son was allergic to peanut butter. The man can't cook nothing. He didn't listen to his kids when he cooked his daughter up a waffle and she said, no, I don't like waffles, because he don't listen to women is why. Okay. The fact that he has such a chauvinistic personality, and the fact that Tisha comes off to me as a person who's too accommodating, who's not equipped to really stand up for herself. It makes them a perfect match, because Marceau, being the word manipulative is what comes to mind, but I think it's too strong a word. Marceau can convince Tisha that the way he wants things to be is the way they should be, because at some point they agreed on it. And Tisha basically told him, I went along and agreed with that because I'm just that submissive, is basically what she said. That's not what she really felt. And that's the thing. Like, people hold you to your word, not understanding that you have the right to change your mind. And he's basically saying to her, she does not have the right to change her mind. And that's not true. I don't really like her. But seeing the type of marriage that she's in, and seeing that it feels like she has to ask permission to do things, that if she wanted to actually use her real estate license that he said that she just got for fun, he wouldn't be supportive of her. He felt like she would be leaving his children in the lurch. No, you leave your children in the lurch, okay? You were the one who don't know how to cook nothing and put food in their mouths. Not in the sense that he doesn't, pay for the food that goes into the house, but the fact that he didn't know how to cook for his children, he left his children in the lurch. That's leaving your children in the lurch, possibly killing your son because you don't know that he's allergic to peanut butter. Like, why don't you know enough about your kids or spend enough time with your kids to even feel like it's beneficial to you? Like, when he asked Martell, what satisfaction does he get from, being there for his children besides providing for them? It's like, do you really think that your children care about lights coming on? Children don't understand the concept of, electricity and water, and they take for granted that there's food in the pantry. They take for granted that when you flip the light switch on, the lights actually come on. They take for granted that they have a place to live. What they care about is spending time, quality time with you. And I think that it's unfair of him to deprive his children of that simply because he has a paycheck that comes into the house. And I just think it's terrible that a grown man can't put a plate of chicken on the dining room table because he just doesn't know how to function with food in his hands. Or You're an adult. What if something happens to Tisha and she dies? Or, God forbid she leaves you or something like that. I'm not wishing nothing bad on him. But if something happens to Tisha, Marceau is just, he's just going to have to figure it out. He's probably going to hire a nanny or something like that because, of course, he can't get his own hands dirty. But watching him, hearing him speak down to Tisha, even though I'm not a big fan of hers, I feel like she's quite messy. But hearing him be condescending towards her and making her feel as if her contributions, though are very big, the things that she does for her family are big contributions, and making them seem small and making her seem small. It just irks me so much. I am so irked. And to me, it makes me feel like Tisha tries to have this stronger personality when she's interacting with Kimmy and Melody, because she doesn't really have that power or control in her own life, in her own, house, in her own marriage. So there's a part of me that kind of feels sorry for Tisha a little bit, but another part that doesn't. Okay. So I think that's going to be it for those two. Okay, I'm not a big fan of them, but moving on. So next we have Martell and Melody, and these are this is the couple that is at the nucleus of this show. Minus the infidelity and, clear communication problems, they would have what I would call the ideal relationship. But since being faithful and communicating well are like the biggest parts of relationships, they lose major brownie points. Like the fact that they were able to basically right out of college, develop this business that has, grown to the point where they are able to give back to the community, been together for, 10 years, have 3 children. On paper, originally, it came off as if they had the perfect relationship. But as time went on, as I went through the episodes, that image has fallen apart because they have the biggest problem that I think any marriage can have, and that is infidelity. And my family situation, I don't know that I've talked about it on here, and I'm definitely not going to get into it on here, but as a child, there were things that happened, and as an adult, there were relationships within my family that had infidelity problems, and I cannot deal with that. That's just something that has always irked me, something that has always been just a deal breaker. Like for me, if my current boyfriend was to ever cheat on me, I would leave him immediately. And not only that, I, would have to stop myself from hurting him. Okay, so I don't understand. And I can admit that I am somewhat judgmental of women who choose to stay in relationships that where a man has been unfaithful to them, or where a person has been unfaithful to them. And it just really irks me. It just really does. So anyways, Martell comes off as one of those people who kind of owns up to something, and he thinks that the honesty and a few promises will patch up what is broken in a relationship. Like there was one line on Confessions by Usher that used to always annoy me. Like after he tells his girl in the song that, every time I was in LA, I was with my ex-girlfriend, he tells her about how, his ex-girlfriend is might be pregnant with his baby, whatever. And then he's like, I hope that you can accept that I'm man enough to tell you this. I'm supposed to give you points because you admitted that you cheated on me and got somebody pregnant? What? I don't understand that. Honesty is the best policy. But true honesty starts from you saying, there's something in our relationship that I am missing, and if you don't give it to me, then we're going to have problems. If you don't tell your spouse or your partner that they are doing something that is creating a void in your relationship, and that you might be tempted to feel it elsewhere, they don't even have an opportunity to try to fix that. That's where the honesty should start. You shouldn't start being honest with me after you cheated on me for a year and had a relationship with somebody else. Forget your honesty. Forget that type of honesty. If you were truly trying to be honest with me, you would tell me, hey, when you deny me of this, particular sexual favor, it makes me feel like you don't care about what I want. And that is a problem for me. That's the type of honesty that you need. People always want to be honest later on instead of fixing things before they get to that point. So I'm not here for Martell on that. It's so weird because I started out liking Martell the most, even more so than Maurice. And his personality to me is like slowly deteriorating. Like the character that I thought that he had is deteriorating because he wants to take this stuff and sweep it under the rug, not understanding that this is not something that you can sweep under the rug. Like, Melody is clearly not over it. Yes, she took you back because she considered, how you were there for their children. She considered the company and the things that you, and the relationship and the love that you have and the things that you have built over the past 10 years. But that does not mean she is over it. And you treating it like she should be over it by now just because y'all are living in the same house and keeping up the facade of a perfect marriage again does not mean that she is over it. Why haven't y'all gone to counseling? Why aren't you all in counseling? Because Melody is going to keep bringing it up as long as it hurts her. And you being so mad. Why is Martell so mad that Melody is telling people about what's going on? That's the other thing. Oh, so you want to be honest when you tell me that you've been in a relationship with somebody else for a year, even though we've been married for 10 years. But when I want to express my feelings about the way you hurt me, I don't get to be honest. We keep that in our household. And that's the type of stuff that festers and boils over, and it makes things so much worse. And I feel like Martell is totally disregarding how much he hurt Melody. He's disregarding his role in it. And he's disregarding the ways that he can help to really patch it up. And he's only offering so much that he wants to offer. Because I do think it's weird that he does go to the gym at night. That's prime creeping hours, in my mind. It is weird that the mistress is saying that every time she changes her phone number, he finds a way to find her. I think that he is, was in love with this other woman and that he didn't want to lose what he had built with Melody as well. So he is, conceded to give up his mistress, even though he didn't want to. And I think that in his perfect world, he could maybe have both of them, or maybe have what he has with Melody with this other woman. And he already confessed to not completely cutting off his communication with the mistress. This is going to get messier and messier by the minute. And I hate, as entertaining or as entertained as I was, I hate seeing marriages fall apart. And I think it's being accelerated by them being on TV. But let's move on from that. I can't tell you all how much I am irked by infidelity. I just can't deal with it. Okay. But anyways, Melody annoys me because her voice is kind of whiny and high, and that's the only thing that annoys me about her. Besides that, I think she's a good businesswoman. And overall, I like her. I think her issue is that she tried to get over something that she clearly was not over. And she made her husband think that they could really get past this when she's not there yet. So I think she's betraying what she feels inside to try to make sure that they come off as if their marriage is perfect. And I think that they worry about their image too much. He's so concerned with her, telling their business. And, to be honest, I think Melody had a point. Like, do you think that you're going to be a millionaire having a mistress for over a year and she's not going to tell anybody. The business is out in the street, maybe because the mistress told, or maybe because somebody saw y'all out somewhere. The business is out in the street because you created the opportunity for the business to be out in the street. And whether I choose to tell it as the person who, is the betrayed person is up to me. I would have nothing to tell had you not, cheated on me. You see how that works? I don't think Martell understands that. But moving on. Regarding their image, if y'all remember, they had a big fight while they were packing up to go to Miami. They showed us a clip of them doing some type of social media live or whatever while they were in the airport going to Miami. Happy as can be. Life is regular. Life is normal. After they just had a fight where he was like, oh, back in the Bible days, they had 2 women and, maybe we should go back to, and then pretending for the world that they have this perfect marriage. And the problem with pretending that you have the perfect marriage is, one, people are eager to see that image crumble. And you can see it in the way Kimmy and Tisha talk about Melody, that they get some type of satisfaction out of knowing that Martell and Melody do not have a perfect relationship. The second thing about that is that you can't confide in nobody about your marital problems. You know why? Because you have built up this facade that your marriage is perfect. And the minute that you tell somebody that it's not, it makes that facade crumble and crack and fall to pieces. And so instead of being real about your marriage and instead of actually seeking help, you're so caught up in what other people will think and so caught up in this facade that you have created that you can't put the pieces back together because you can't admit, fully that things are going wrong. And now that they are on a TV show and that, it's being presented basically to the world that their marriage is not perfect, maybe this will inspire them to actually get some real help instead of trying to pretend like this didn't happen. Because let Martell tell it. If Martell had his way, this thing would be patched over and you would never even know that there was a problem. It never happened. His mistress never existed. They never had a rift in their relationship. But for Melody, it's not going to be that easy. But anyways, y'all, those are my thoughts on everything that is going on from episodes 1 through 6 of Love and Marriage Huntsville. It is quite interesting. And I plan on trying to do consistent reviews on this particular show. It's actually quite entertaining. And thank you guys for watching. Peace out, home slices. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.